Inside the packed courtroom, Yulia Tymoshenko bristled as the judge summarized the arguments and pronounced his verdict: guilty, a 7-year prison term and an order that she pay $200 million in compensation.
Despite months of protests and political pressure, Yulia Tymoshenko was just convicted and sentenced to 7 years in prison. President Viktor Yanukovych arrested Tymoshenko for violating an old Soviet law that had only been used 2 times in Ukraine's history. The fact remains that the arrest and conviction of Tymoshenko was politically motivated and unlawful, and her defense was unfairly treated throughout the entirety of her trial. Judge Rodion Kiev, who overlooked the trial of Yulia Tymoshenko, was transferred from the city of Berezan by a presidential decree almost simultaneously with the beginning of Yulia Tymoshenko's investigation. Even though this grossly violates the employee transfer and appointment procedures of Ukraine, Yanukovych was keen on choosing the best judge suited to carry out whatever agenda was forced upon him.
In this court, the only aim of the prosecutors and the judge is not to give me a chance to say a word in my defense and give the objective information to people who watch this reprisal on TV. That's why I am interrupted by the judge or the prosecutors at my every word. All this was staged in advance at the president's administration. The trial is being carried out just with the political aim, and this aim is to eliminate the opposition, which is very active in Ukraine.
On top of having a judge assigned to the case who was clearly working for the accusing party, the trial was acted out in a small, stuffy courtroom in the middle of summer with no ventilation. The defense repeatedly requested to be moved to a larger courtroom.
There are so many people in the room that it's impossible to breathe. It's overcrowded. All people are sweating. I am asking the judge to have the trial in the courtroom that is more than 2,000 square meters. It's suitable for conferences and congresses for approximately 250 people.
The request was nearly always denied. During the trial, Ms. Tymoshenko's right to defense was violated by the very short periods her counsel had to prepare the defense. The pace of the trial was too dynamic and rapid for the defense to properly adapt. The court sessions were in rapid succession and almost daily. These sessions were nearly always announced by the judge at the end of the previous day, making it impossible for the defense team to meet with their client and prepare a proper defense. The defense continuously requested the postponement of the case to allow for some preparation. This request was repeatedly denied.
The judge is to rush through the case and to pass sentence. That is why the lawyers are removed. More prosecutors are invited and everything is done in order to hear the case without any evidence as soon as possible.
The defense was also repeatedly denied the ability to introduce witnesses, to ask any questions about the nature of the case, and to introduce any new evidence into the case. When asked why, no reason was given.
Working in such a pace and written, we are trying to do our best to make the necessary documents appear among the materials of the case, which are considered by the defense to prove Tymoshenko's innocence. The public prosecution office is against this, even against attaching them to the case, preventing the court from comparing the evidence of the defense and the prosecution.
When all the cards are laid on the table, it's clear that this was a biased, politically motivated, and unfair trial.
Mrs. Tymoshenko's crime was that she overstepped her authority to the detriment of Ukrainian interests. But many ordinary Ukrainians are asking themselves now whether President Yanukovych is actually doing exactly the same thing by pressing on with this prosecution.
If justice is to prevail in the Ukraine, Yulia Tymoshenko must be freed.